Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to lay out a case for you here. And I'm going to make it real easy in the first 30 seconds. I want you to understand what I'm saying to you. Right now, we're about to have a discussion about these green people and how they have an upcoming water war ready for you.
About climate change yesterday, and now we're learning that scientists and researchers are looking at how to change the weather on purpose. That's right. Lasers now could one day manipulate rain and lightning. CBS This Morning contributor Michio Kaku is a physics professor at City College of New York. Professor, nice to see you. Extraordinary seeing Al Gore and Bill Clinton there together with Charlie, wasn't it?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, they did not get into this discussion, though. But it is fascinating. I mean, lasers, really, to change the weather?
And it's important that you understand water is key to life. And I'm gonna show you what they're doing. Best barbecue on the planet right here, boy. If you're in Nashville, go get you some of that barbecue.
That's right. Well, as Mark Twain once famously said, everyone complains about the weather, but no one ever does anything about it. Well, instead of doing a rain dance, we physicists are firing trillion-watt lasers into the sky to actually precipitate rain clouds and actually bring down lightning bolts. This is potentially a game changer.
But this is experimental.
It's experimental. However, in the laboratory so far, it works. When you have water vapor and you have dust particles or ice crystals, you can precipitate rain. It condenses around the seeds. These seeds can also be created by laser beams. By firing trillion-watt lasers, you rip apart the electrons, creating what are called ions, and these ions act like seeds, like dust particles, bringing down rain and even lightning.
Go ahead.
Well,
you see how proud this damn lizard person is of what they could do. Now, I want you to understand that video is from 10 years ago. If you go try and find more recent stuff with them talking about weather manipulation on the news, they are not discussing it anymore because it is a reality. And what that news story told me was that was the start of it. And I submit to you, ladies and gentlemen, all over the planet, everybody that's in Stankonia, all my Harvard graduates, that this weather that we see hitting America and actual nations all over the world is a part of a greater weather weaponized warfare. But however, I submit to you as well that our own government is using weather as a weapon to cause droughts, to make people, and they will continue to do this, to move people out of areas that they've been living in and condense them into these smart cities that they plan on having. Why are you covering this, DW? You know, Stankonia, why are we talking about this? Because these are the most important things that we can discuss. Now, remember, I told you, if you're trying to figure out technology, what's going to be used, you go outside of this country to get the truth. You will not get any truth from the media in this country. And that means all media, except for maybe the alternative realm of media where people like me reside. So you got to leave. You got to go outside. You got to get on the internet, get on the bus, dial in, Wi-Fi in, do whatever the hell you need to do, and take a trip. So we're about to take a trip over to India and see what they're saying about weather modification. Then we're going to take a trip over to China. All right, everybody, put on your seatbelt. Y'all got your seatbelts on? Everybody got your seatbelt on? Got the tray tables fastened? Hey, you over there. You right there. You with the big boobs. I need you to button up. You're showing too much cleavage, and when we lift off on the bus, you might bust out. Close that up. Close it up.
In January 2024, Indian Defense Minister Rajnath Singh made a veiled reference to China. Singh pointed out that Beijing might weaponize weather for strategic gains.
क्लाइमेट चेंज सिर्फ एक मौसम से जुड़ी घटना भर नहीं है, बल्कि राष्ट्रीय सुरक्षा से जुड़ा यह एक गंभीर मुद्दा भी है। भारत का रक्षा मंत्रालय भी इसको बहुत ही गंभीरता से ले रहा है।
Weather altering for warfare is a decades-old concept and has been used in previous conflicts. China is in conflict with several countries, including India, and it might use weather modification for warfare gains. So what's this concept all about? Let's decode this. In 2018, the Indian state of Assam witnessed massive flooding despite no heavy rain. The fingers were pointed at China for causing interference in the natural ecosystem in Tibet. In 2020, China announced a plan to develop a weather modification system by 2025. Though the focus of this system appears to be domestic, reports have suggested that there's potential for impact beyond China's borders. Reports also speculate that weather modification could give Beijing an edge in future conflicts. Weather warfare involves the use of weather modification techniques such as cloud seeding for military purposes. One of the earliest examples of weather warfare was seen in the Vietnam War, where the US used cloud seeding over the Ho Chi Minh Trail in the hope of reducing the rate of infiltration. During the Vietnam War, the US carried out Operation Popeye to extend the monsoon season over specific areas of the Ho Chi Minh Trail. In 1978, the Environmental Modification Convention came into force, prohibiting the military or other hostile use of weather modification techniques. Now, altering weather is inhumane, but many countries worldwide are conducting experiments on how to manipulate weather and use it in warfare. If this goes on, the consequences might be more devastating than a nuclear war.
Now, I need you to remember something. China was not that damn smart back in the day. Remember, China was struggling economy. I mean, it was really, really struggling. We're talking about people living in huts. Back in the day, before our politicians went over there and decided, yeah, we're going to turn China into the greatest industrial place on the planet. And you guys are going to build everything for cheap and you're going to export it to America. And these dumb Americans going to buy everything. Remember, everything used to say made in America. Then all of a sudden, made in China. How does that happen? That don't just happen by mistake, baby. You were sold out. Then when Don come in and he says, we're going to make America great again. Oh, you racist. But nonetheless, I'm not talking about politics. Let's not go there. Ladies and gentlemen, buckle your seatbelts. We're off from India and into China. Young lady, I've already asked you more than once to button up your blouse. I don't know how many times I gotta tell you, it is too many men on this plane for you to be running around with the top 3 buttons of your blouse unbuttoned.
To ensure stability in its agriculture sector, China is not leaving things to Mother Nature. The Chinese government is planning to employ upgraded weather control systems in Heilongjiang, Jilin, and Liaoning, the 3 provinces responsible for 54% of the nation's rice production. The project, which will continue until June, involves creating artificial rain using cloud seeding, special aircraft, rockets, and much more. China has been tinkering with the idea for years. But how controllable can the weather be? Skeptics fear the consequences of meddling with nature at this level could be dire.
Holy shit. 他妈的淹到屁股了都。
Now, of course, ladies and gentlemen, there are people in the audience who will not watch this much of the video and they will say there's no such thing as weather modification. And when you see them in the comments, just call them short bus for me, okay? Be like, hey, short bus, and we'll know who they are. But with that being said, we have a clear understanding that weather modification programs are going on all over the world. But on top of that, they're going on simultaneously because no one nation can manipulate the weather for their best interest without the other nation being forced to do the same thing. That makes perfect sense, and I'm hoping you're following me as we travel on back home to America so you can see what's going on. Now, mind you, we just witnessed a communist government. It don't really care about its people doing what it do. Now, we have a republic here in America that people believe is a democracy that's ruled by a whole entire class of evil, wicked people. So it's not far-fetched to think that when you see droughts in California, it's man-made drought bioweapons.
Avila Beach is a picturesque resort town in Southern California, with an old wooden pier stretching far out into the local bay. But appearances can be deceptive. As we're told by Pete Kelly from the local community services, this Pacific Coast paradise is facing disaster.
It's a beautiful spot for sure, but it's also very dry now compared to what it usually is. I mean, after a wonderful rainy spring, it's so green around here you wouldn't believe it. It looks like Ireland, but not this year. It's semi-desert.
I mean, I grew up here. This is home. I actually was a firefighter and worked in EMS for about 15 years. So I'm not new to emergencies. I'm not new to protecting the community, but I am relatively new to water and wastewater management. And starting this career in the middle of one of the worst droughts in the last 100 years has presented quite a few challenges.
To realize those gains, city authorities are now resorting to more aggressive solutions, such as an around-the-clock water patrol.
I work for the water waste enforcement team for the Las Vegas Valley Water District. So what my job is to do is to basically drive around the city of Las Vegas and basically find water waste violations. Those can range from anything to watering on an unassigned day. So how it works is there's different kinds of violations that can occur. So this was a day-of-week violation. So this is when a property is watering on an unassigned day. The city of Las Vegas is divided into 6 separate groups. Right. As of now, A, C, and E waters Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. B, D, and F waters Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays.
Now, I'm pretty sure you're saying to yourself, okay, DW, I follow you, but I'm not sure where you're going. And that's okay, because you on a trip with me, baby. Let me bring it home for you. Make sure you understand what I'm saying to you. You see, in the Bible, everybody had to go to Egypt because there was a famine and because there was a drought. And it consolidated all the power in Egypt because there was a famine and because there was a drought. Up until this point, humanity has not had the ability to create famine and drought. But once you can manipulate the weather, you can create both famine and drought. And so what you're witnessing right now, ladies and gentlemen, is the lizard people creating famine and creating drought to drive you into their system. And I know you may be saying, well, damn, DW, that don't make no sense, man. I kind of believe you, but it can't be possible. It can't be possible. All you got to do is follow the money, baby. See where people putting their money at. And then you find out that the richest people on the planet, in the news, they call them investors. They're buying up water rights. Don't believe me? Don't believe me. I know nobody believe this Thinkonian. Let's go ahead, watch it right here, and then we out of here.
The Colorado River, a decades-long mega drought fueled by climate change, is nearing a tipping point for states in the West. The Colorado River is the main supply of water for 40 million people, but the river and its reservoirs are now running dry. Ben Tracy shows us that as water becomes scarce, Wall Street sees profits.
Come on back. Colorado rancher Joe Bernal has just one source of water, the Colorado River.
So that river is your lifeline. That's it.
That's all we got is that river.
And that river is why someone new bought this land just down the road.
Water Asset Management owns that property.
And when you first heard of them, what was your reaction?
Surprise and concern. They are concerning because they're large.
Water Asset Management is a New York investment firm with offices inside this building. In the past 5 years, it has bought at least $20 million worth of land in western Colorado.
These are folks that have identified the drought as an opportunity to make money.
Andy Mueller's job is to protect Colorado's share of the river. He says Water Asset Management has acquired more than 2,500 acres of farmland for the water rights that come with it.
With the intent to not use the water and send the water downstream to an entity or entities that might pay them quite a bit of money. I view these private drought profiteers as vultures.
That's pretty strong.
Yeah.
It's a $1 trillion market opportunity.
Matt Desario is president of Water Asset Management. He declined our request for an interview. But 3 years ago, he said one of his firm's strategies is to profit from water rights, in part by making the farms it buys more efficient and selling water to other users, including farmers and municipalities.
When you need water, water's the only thing that will do.
So why is water now so scarce in the West? Well, Dr. Greg Postel with our partners at the Weather Channel is here to explain.
Now we can stop it right there because we don't want to hear nothing they got to say. Because they ain't about to tell you the truth as it pertains to anything else. They're going to sit there and say it's climate change. They're going to say it's all the rest of this foolishness. But here's what I want you to understand. To a certain extent, they are telling you the truth. It is the climate change, but the climate is being changed because they are changing it. And they are taking advantage of it. Do you understand? Can you smell what I'm cooking for you? And it's all the lizard people. Now, that's way out in the future. I just took you out to 2050. I took you out to the Hunger Game times. In between now and then, we got a lot of options to stop them. And if you just become active in prayer, fasting, and sometimes you're going to need to pick up the phone and call these people like your senators and your congressmen and say, hey, bro, you're going to get off your behind and do your job. We can stop this. But if not, yeah, it turns into Hunger Games. Yes, sir. It becomes the Hunger Games. Peace out.